Hey everybody, Dave Bazanko here, and this is Triathlon for Beginners. Today what we're going to do is we're going to answer a very specific question that was sent to me on one of the comments of one of my previous videos. So I'm going to jump right into it. This is from Carlos, and the question that Carlos asked, he sends a very nice comment. Thank you, Carlos. But the question that Carlos asked is, how long before the race should I start biking? And what do you mean by easy week? I'm 53 years old. So today what I want to do is I want to have a video about what periodized training is. And I want to, I've been doing some digging into other videos that I've seen on the internet about training advice. And, I think the people who give training advice who are coaches or elite athletes on YouTube is really great for other elite athletes. But when you're seeing the world through the lens of something that comes naturally or easy to people, that's not always the best advice for people who are, I'm going to say you're an average triathlete or a new triathlete who has a lot of questions, a lot of self-doubt, and a lot of hurdles to overcome. And it's just funny when I listen to these different perspectives, how I can see the pro mind thinking versus the beginner mind thinking. And what I'm going to talk to you today is about the beginner mind thinking. Now, how am I qualified to do this? Well, I actually got my community triathlon coaching certification a few years ago from Triathlon Ontario, specifically so that I could help those beginner triathletes get started. Because here's the thing, information changes, science changes, techniques and approaches change. But I'll give you a quote, and you can see this video. I did this on my original YouTube channel. It's under Dave Bazanko. I did an interview with Craig Alexander, three-time Ironman world champion. And one of the things Craig said was, the bones of most training programs are very, very similar. It's those 1% differences that make all the difference. And for an elite athlete, somebody who's trying to get a podium finish or place or rank or become a pro, those are the strategies that a coach is going to help you realize. I was watching a video this morning by a pro triathlete, and even though I knew what he was talking about, I was looking at what I was seeing on the whiteboard that he had written out. It looked like a very, very complicated, algebra formula. And I'm like, there's not a chance in heck that any new beginner triathlete is going to understand what you're talking about. So I'm going to try and break down today what I believe is the right approach and the right way to do this. Now, everything, my knowledge for triathlon comes from the book, The Triathlete Training Bible from Joe Friel. And I'll have a link to this book down below if you want to pick up a copy for yourself. And I think this book is now in its 4th or 5th printing, so Joe is always updating the new science, the new technology. But again, Joe takes the approach of, I'm going to try and help an elite athlete, but he does have a section in his book. He does try to take a perspective for beginners and for masters athletes, which is what I am. So a lot of people who get started in triathlon tend to do it later in life. They're not trying to get on the podium. They're just trying to enjoy the youthful, healthy, and happy feeling you get from this sport. So, you can hear some people say that periodized training is an old method or an old technique. Well, that might be true if you are pushing yourself at an elite level to podium finish. I'm sure there's always new science, new tools, new technologies you can use to get that 1% of 1% difference and get better. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about how to help the new beginner triathlete have a successful experience, so much so that they say, hey, you know what? I want to do that again. And incrementally, I'm going to get better every time I do this because I'm going to learn from the experience. So today what we're going to be talking about is periodized training. I'm going to try to get off to the side here. I hope I'm not off camera. I don't think I am. But I just want to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on the blackboard some principles, and then I'm actually going to jump onto my computer and I'm going to show you how I've created an Excel spreadsheet to map all of this out. But I just want to go over a couple of basics with you. So when I start off here, so this is a periodized training schedule. And periodized means that we're doing time blocks, specific periods of time for specific work. So there are, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 9 sections to this. You've got a base, so the base 1, base 2, base 3. This is where you're building your base level of endurance fitness. And this represents the number of weeks in that build period or that base period. So in this block of training, there's 4 weeks. In this block of training, there's 4 weeks. 4 weeks, then you go from base training to building endurance. So 3 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks, and then peak training, 2 weeks. Race week is 1 week, and then transition is 1 week. So in these 9 phases of your training, this is the system. These are the number of weeks that you're in each one of these phases of the system. Now, the next thing that we add to the system is volume. Okay, so we've got a system, right? This is our system. Now we need volume. Volume is the amount of, and I apologize if I'm standing in front of this, volume is the number of hours you have in a week, in a month, in a year that you can dedicate to your training. And it's really important for you to think about that from a very realistic standpoint, because we all have different, things going on in our lives. And, I know that I can commit anywhere from 1 to 2 hours during a weekday to do my training. So I know that if I commit 1 to 2 hours a day for training during the week, and then on the weekend I can spend anywhere from 2 to 4 hours training on Saturday and Sunday, if I know I have that time available to me, that puts me into about 500 hours of training availability a year. So based on that and knowing that, that's a big key for me to tell me whether or not I have the time and the energy and the resources to do this kind of training. Now, this kind of training here is the kind of training block you would do if you were doing a half Ironman or a full Ironman. When I talk about volume, I'm talking about the number of hours in a week that you can, again, dedicate to training. So the way that these blocks work is like this. I'm going to come on this side. Hopefully this isn't too confusing. So a block of weeks would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? In those 4 weeks, so here's a 4-week block. In those 4 weeks, the first week, you're going to start off with 7 hours of training volume. The second week, you're going to go 7.5. The third week, you're going to go 8. The fourth week, you're going to come back to 7. Okay? What you've just done here is the first week, that should be an R. In the first week, you've done an hour a day of training. 7 days a week, an hour a day of training. In the second week, you've increased the intensity or the volume of your training by 0.5, so half an hour, 30 minutes. Now the next week, you've increased it by another 30 minutes. And then the fourth week, the following week, is a rest recovery week where you come back to the same volume that you did in week 1. Okay, so this would be an example of base 1. Now, let's go to the next week. We're going to go to base 2 now, right? Base 2 would look like this. You would start out at 7.5. You would go to 8, 8.5, and back down to 7. So what you're doing is you're incrementally increasing the start of each base week at the next starting point. So here we started at 7. Now we're starting at 7.5 for base 2. For base 3, we're going to start at 8. Then we're going to do 8.5. Then we're going to do 9. Then we're back to 7 again. So this kind of pattern continues all the way through your blocks of training. The reason why we only increase by 5% as this sort of system moves on, and I'll do one more just as an example. The next build week here, you're going to be at 8.5, you're going to be at 9, and you're going to be at 9.5, and then back down to 7. The reason why we're only increasing by 5% here is because what you're trying to do is train, add volume without injuring yourself. And I will tell you from 15 years of experience of doing this, it works really, really well. You're putting enough strain on your body so that it feels like you're doing the right amount of work. It feels like you're challenging yourself. But I'll tell you, the hardest thing about this is going to be your recovery week, because in your recovery week, you're used to working hard. And you're asking yourself, boy, this doesn't feel like it's very hard anymore. I always feel, I know that the rest of recovery week, that fourth week is challenging because it feels like I've got more to give, but I've got to allow my body to rest and recover. And if I don't do that, my next block of training is going to be more challenging because I wasn't recovered properly. In the last 15 years, I've not been injured. I shouldn't say that. I was injured in my last Ironman in Mont Tremblant in 2017. I had pulled a muscle in the back of my calf, and I don't think it was due to overtraining. I just think I moved the wrong way and sort of injured myself a little bit. Didn't mean I couldn't do the race. I just had that athletic tape on the back of my leg, the spider tape or whatever it's called, to help me get through the race. But so this is the idea, guys. You need to have a system first. Then you need to understand what the volume is going to look like. And then here's where the pros come in. I'm going to show you now, I'm going to show you what a week looks like. And then I'm going to get onto the computer and I'm going to show you what my training schedule actually looks like. And if you want to copy this, if you want to copy this, or if you want a copy of this, just email me and I'll send it over to you. But let's look at a week now. If we look at a week as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, okay? Structure. Remember, we have a system. The system is we do the same workouts. This is triathlon, if you don't know this yet. It's swim, bike, run, eat, sleep, repeat. That's the system. And you're going to do this 7 days a week. Now, Mondays, when you're just in maintenance mode, where you're only working out an hour a day, you're in between seasons, and you're just working out for an hour every day, you can go 7 days a week. You don't need a day off for rest unless you really feel like you need it. And your body will tell you when you need that day off of rest. But when you start building into your training schedule for the year, it's really important that you follow the structure of the system. Now, here's the thing. Life happens, and things are going to get up and get in the way. And there's nothing you can do about that. So this is what I'm showing you right now is a perfect world. In a world where you have challenges that might be, whatever, something happens, you're traveling for work, family emergency, whatever, and you can't fit in your training the way that you would like to, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Just try to do what you can. Maybe if you're traveling unexpectedly, this is going to be a run week for you. Maybe you can find a pool to do a swim in, fantastic. If not, you're definitely not going to have your bike, but you might be able to go to a local gym and jump on a spin bike for an hour and get an hour's or 90 minutes and get a session in. Just, try to stay with the program as best you can, but if you miss a day, don't sweat it. Do something else. If you can't bike, run. But you got to be really careful. And this is what I'm going to talk about with planning your week out now. So let's look at a regular week during a 70.3 training. Okay, so Monday, I'm going to start with Tuesday. So Tuesday is going to be a bike run day. This is what we call a brick workout. This is where you'll do, say, a 90-minute. This isn't going to work. I'm going to run out of space here. Oh, that's not great, but we all get the idea. We're doing a bike, we're doing a run, and that's called a brick workout. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a 90-minute bike and then immediately a 20-minute run. The whole point of this workout is to get your legs conditioned to running on rubbery legs. So on Tuesday, we do a bike followed by immediately get off the bike and do a run immediately. So this is a brick workout, bike run. Wednesday, we're going to do a run. This is going to be our short run for the week. That run is going to have some hills. That's going to be a bit of a load up on the legs. Thursday is going to be a bike. Say 90 minutes on the bike. Friday is going to be a bike. Saturday is going to be a bike. Sunday is going to be another run. That's tough to see my markers wearing out. And then Monday is going to be recover. So let's talk about what this looks like for a second. So Tuesday, you do a brick workout. You load up your legs with that bike and run. Wednesday, you do a hill run where you're actually tearing up your legs a little bit, doing some interval training on the hills, and you're building up some intensity and some muscle on your legs. Thursday's an endurance bike ride. Friday's an endurance bike ride. Saturday's a longer, if the schedule requires it, endurance bike ride. Sunday is a longer, this is your long run of the week. Now here's the science behind running and cycling and swimming. Whenever you run for an hour, for every hour that you run, it takes your body 24 hours to recover from that workout. When you ride a bike for an hour, it takes 6 hours for your body to recover. So the whole idea behind triathlon and this kind of training is that you're actually giving your body a chance to recover from the runs that you're doing. So, I can do my bike and run here. This is gonna require me to recover for about 24 hours. Okay, between this bike ride and this 20-minute run. So if I do this at 7 o'clock in the morning, 24 hours later, I'm good for this 1 hour hill run. 24 hours later, I'm good for this bike ride. Now I'm doing a 90-minute bike ride here or more or less. I tend to do when I'm Ironman training for 70.3s or even for the Ironman, I tend to do 90-minute bike ride sessions or 90-minute workouts in the morning and then my long volume on the weekend. And I'll show you in a minute what that looks like. So Thursday, I'm doing a bike. I'm only doing a bike for 90 minutes, so that's requiring, 9 hours of recovery. Bike for 90 minutes, 9 hours of recovery. Here, even if I did on Saturday, even if I did a 3-hour bike ride, right? It's only gonna require me less than 24 hours to recover. Sunday, if I do anywhere from 90 minutes to 3-hour run, whatever it ends up being, this is the day where I put the most amount of stress on my body, and this is the day where I need to have a longer recovery period. That's why Monday's recovery day. This is what you're recovering from, this load, this build all week long, and especially this day, so that here you get a chance to recover. And this is active recovery. Active recovery doesn't mean sitting around and eating whatever you want and watching television. It means stretching. It means going for a walk. Active recovery is doing things that aren't straining your body. If you wanted to, you could jump on the bike and just turn your legs over on the bike. That's active recovery. That's not loading stress or anything to your body. It's just active. You're moving, you're stretching, you're massaging. Those are all great things to be doing during this time. So let's jump into my calendar now, and I'm going to show you exactly how I map this out. Okay, so what I've got here is my 2025 training log. What I've got on the right-hand side here, and I just basically created this in a simple Excel spreadsheet based on what you just saw on my blackboard. But I've got my yearly plan, what my limiters are. So I've looked at my previous years and where I'm limited. That simply means what's holding me back from reaching my goals. And it's my speed on all 3 disciplines, but I'm really not concerned. But if there's a place that I want to work on, I'm going to be working on my bike speed and my run speed. My swim speed is what it is, and I spend so little time in the water, it doesn't really matter how much I improve on my swim speed. I enjoy my swim. It's a very relaxing part of the day for me. It sets me up for a really good bike and run. So now you can see here available hours to train with my schedule. I have about 600 hours of available time to train. And here's my season goals is to finish Ironman 70.3 in a 6-hour or less time, and to get my racing weight down to 175 pounds from the current 195 that I am. So I'm currently going through a weight loss training program where I'm in a 500 calorie daily deficit while I'm training. And I'm doing that in those base weeks of my training where it's really not going to impact the way that I need to fuel my body for the exercise that I'm doing. So I like to sort of try and see what I can do in the beginning and see where I can get to. So for the first 60 days of my training, I'm really focusing on getting the routine down but also really paying attention to my calories so that I'm giving myself an opportunity to lose about 10 pounds of belly fat before I get into the serious training part of this session. So some of the things I'm going to work on when I'm in the pool. I'm going to be working on my swim kick because I've got a very poor swim kick. So I'm going to be working on that. Bike endurance, speed endurance, lose the gut by eating better. That's just managing my calories. And, race weight down to 170 pounds. That's where my race weight was back in 2011. I don't anticipate it getting there again. But hey, stranger things have happened. And then a 40-minute 2K swim is my target time for my swim. Now, this is what the race training. Remember, I talked about the hours of training and the base periods, the system and the volume. This is where this all comes into play. You can look now. I've got Ironman Muskoka on my calendar on the right. You can see that that race date is, I think, it's July the 6th. So that actually is at the end of this June 30th calendar week. So you'll see when I show you on the left-hand side over here what the actual training plan looks like. It starts in the 14 week of my build session. So I'm already at a maintenance level where I'm doing an hour of training, have been for the last 2 years. So I'm at what I call a jump off point where I've got a very solid base already. I'm not starting from zero. I'm at a good starting point and I'm jumping probably 4 weeks a little bit behind where I would have liked to have been. But when I decided to sign up for this race, this is where I ended up. So you can see what I've done here is I've got every week now, starting on a Monday, from last week, which was January 20th, right up into Monday, June the 30th. So I've numbered these weeks because these are the weeks of the year for my training session. My training sessions normally start in December. So this gives me a sense of what week of training am I in. And then you can see my race goal here is Muskoka 70.3. This is my A race. And you can see on the right here, this is, remember I said you start with 7, 7.5, 8, and then go back to 7 for a recovery. So you can see here, I'm starting not in my base phase. I'm actually starting halfway through my base 2. And I'm already a little bit behind on the volume that I should have been at had I been building for the past 3 months. So I'm playing a little bit of catch up in the beginning with my volume to get me to where I want to be. And so you can see here on the right-hand side, this is what it should be, what it should look like. This is what it actually is. So last week, I did a volume of 11 hours. This week, I'm doing a volume of 11.5. Next week, I'm doing a volume of 12 hours, as you can see here in this column. And then I go back to my rest week. So this is actually what I'm doing based on what I should have been doing. And so this is what I should have been doing. This is what I'm actually doing. And now let's bring this to the left and show you what that looks like in a training week. So you can see my weeks are numbered on the left-hand side in yellow. What I like to do is I've got a formula here mapped out where I know whether I'm working out in the morning or the evening. I know how much time or volume I'm doing and what exercise that I'm doing. All of the numbers I put into the number columns add up to the far right here, and this tells me how much volume I have for the week. And then this number right here, this is the target volume that I want for the week. So this is what I actually did, and this is what I was attempting to do. So now let's go down to week 14, because this is where I'm actually starting. Okay. So this was last week. I'll start right here with week 14. So this was last week. And last week, what I did was a 60-minute bike on Monday. Then I did a brick run of 60 minutes on the bike, 10 minutes run, 60 run again on the Wednesday. Now, this is where I signed up for the race, right in here. And I went, uh-oh, I'm behind schedule. I need to start amping up my volume a little bit to get back on track. So I went from what was maintenance to all of a sudden, now I'm going to start adding a bit of volume. So right now, I feel like my legs are a little bit tired, but it hasn't been anything I couldn't have overcome. So now what I'm doing is I'm doing 90-minute sessions as opposed to 60-minute sessions. But you're going to look here and you're going to realize that every week it's going to look very, very similar. The only thing that's going to change is the volume of time, what I'm doing, and what the exercise is. So right now, like I said, I did 90 minutes last Thursday, 90 minutes last Friday, a 90-minute bike, and a 90-minute run. The week before, I'd only been doing 60-minute runs. So this was a big, big leap right here. I put a lot of stress on my body during these days. So Monday now is a complete rest day for me. So in the next week, this was this past Monday. Um, I did nothing except work on some core routines. And when I talk about core and arms, that means push ups, pull ups, sit ups, crunches, those sorts of things that aren't putting strain on my legs, but it's active recovery. It's continuing to work on and strengthening my core. So now you can see this is now, I'm trying to hit a volume over here of 10 and a half hours. I should be at 11 hours, but I'm gradually making my way into this to play catch up. So this week I did, Monday was a day of rest. Tuesday was a brick run. It was 90 minutes on the bike, followed by 20 on the treadmill. And I'm in Canada and it's crappy outside, and I don't like doing the brick run in the wintertime where I'm going from riding a bike indoors, getting completely drenched, and then in sweat, and then trying to run outside in the freezing cold for 20 minutes. That's just, there's no need to do that. I'm fortunate that I've got a gym in my basement that has a treadmill, my spin bikes, all the equipment that I need to train successfully. So you can see what I've done here is I've done my brick workout. Then Wednesday, I do a 7 a.m. swim. And then I now do my run in the evening because I have to work during the daytime. So I'm doing a run with 5 hill repeats. That's a big strain on my body. This isn't. The 60-minute swim is just upper body and cardiovascular. This is where I'm putting a bit of wear and tear on my legs. Thursday's 90 minutes on the bike. Friday's 90 minutes on the bike. Saturday's 120 minutes on the bike, a 2-hour bike ride. And then Sunday's going to be a 100-minute run. And then, and I'm planning in social things. So I know, I'm moving my daughter up north this weekend. So I know I'm planning where I'm going to do my workouts. But you can see here in this next week, what has changed? Nothing has changed except for the volume. Monday's a rest week. I've got my brick workout again in here. And during the week, I tend not to change the volumes very much. It's Saturday and Sunday now this is like a golf membership. You're going to go play 9 holes every morning of the week, except for Monday. And then the weekend, you're going to play maybe a round and a half or 2 rounds of golf, depending on what your volume looks like. It's a good analogy to use. But Wednesday is always going to be a swim and a run day. Thursday is going to be a bike. Friday is going to be a bike. Saturday is going to be a longer bike. Sunday is going to be a longer run, right? Build up my volume. My volume is getting closer now to my target of 11.5. Jump into the next week. Monday is a recovery day. Tuesday is a brick run, bike and run. Wednesdays, swim and run, hills. Thursday's bike. Friday's bike. Saturday, a little more bike. Sunday, a little more run. Here's my volume for the week, 11.83. I'm really close to that 12. And then this is where I'm settling for my recovery week. It's actually should be 7. It's 7.17. And that's because I've got a little bit of extra effort in here. And I like round numbers when it comes to what I do during the week. So my recovery week now, Monday is a recovery day. It's a rest day, active recovery. Again, I'm doing the same events on this on Tuesday. It's a brick workout, but it's only 60 minutes and 10, not 90 and 20. Remember, this is a recovery week. Wednesday, 60-minute swim. I'm still doing my 60-minute hill run. 60-minute on the bike Thursday, 60-minute on the bike Friday, 60 minutes on the bike Saturday, 60-minute run on Sunday. That is a base or build week. Base means building your base of endurance. Build means I'm adding volume. Okay. And I'm going to follow this right through. You can see I can jump down in here several weeks ahead. Nothing's changed. It's basically the same workout throughout the week. The only thing that's changing is the volume that I'm doing either on Friday, Saturday, Sunday to add more volume to my race week or my training week. This is going to take me right up until, where's my race week here? Oh, there's Muskoka right there. So you can see here, my volume gets to a high or a height of 14 hours in the week. So if you're saying, what does the most intense week look like for me? Well, again, Monday's a rest day. Although I'm going to be doing open water swimming at that time. So I look at when it comes time to do open water swimming in the summer, because it's upper body, that is a rest day for my lower body, my legs. So I'll do an outdoor swim. I'll get into a 90-minute brick workout again for my bike and my run, 60-minute run, 60-minute run with, swim and run with hills. I got that backwards. 90 minutes on the bike, 100 minutes on the bike on Friday, Saturday's 210 on the bike, and then, Sunday's 150-minute run. All of these things are loading my body up for race week. This is the biggest amount of training I'm going to be doing in a week. And then I start to taper. Now I taper down towards race week, right? I reduce my volume from 14 hours in the week to 12 hours in the week to race week, where I'm doing very, very little training during the week, just 30 minutes here and there, so maybe 60 minutes on the bike. And then I get right into race day. Now, this is the structure that I use for training for a calendar year. It's periodized training. It works really well. If you would like to take a snapshot of this, this is really basic. If you have questions about this, leave it in the comments. I'm happy to answer each question individually. I believe that for a beginner triathlete, this is the absolute best way to map out your race season, your training season, and to make sure that you train and load your body up so that you don't get injured. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. I really think this is a great way for a beginner to start looking at how to train. And then as you start gaining more experience, you can ask yourself, well, do I want to be faster? And how do I get faster? Well, the thing is, you're not changing the amount of volume of time you spend training. You're changing the intensity of the workouts that you're doing. So you're going to do a lot more HIIT workouts in that training session based on what your coach might be telling you or what you might have read or seen online. And it's the intensity that you do that might change the speed or performance that you have in one of your three events. So hopefully that's been clear enough. I hope it's been clear enough. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. This is a bit of a longer video, but it required a little bit of explaining. And if you haven't done so already, I'll put a link in the bottom to pick up a copy of Joe Friel's Triathlete's Bible. It has been the cornerstone of my experience as a triathlete. It was recommended to me early days in my career, and it still serves me to this day. I have probably sold for Joe over 1,000 books just by recommending it to other new triathletes. It is a great one-stop resource that I think everybody needs to have. And then from there, again, if you're an elite athlete, you'll find an elite coach that will take you in a bit of a different direction for intensities. But if you're just a beginner and you want to get started and you're not sure how to approach things, even how to plan in events, like I'm moving my daughter up north next weekend. I've got to work in when am I going to do my bike and when am I going to do my run. I've already planned for that. So I know I've got plan A and plan B to get my run in, whether I'm doing it up there up north or whether I'm doing it back home when I get home on a treadmill in the evening. I know how it's going to play out already. So that's what I've got for you today. Hopefully that answered that question. Carlos, I really appreciate the question. That was a bit of a long-winded answer, but hopefully we got to the end result that you were looking for. So I would start on the bike, getting time in the saddle now, follow a periodized training plan like I've just shared. And if you haven't done so already, get a copy of Joe Friel's Triathlete's Bible. Again, there's a link in the description. And it will show you exactly what I just showed you. I just put this on a computer spreadsheet because the template they gave me in the book is in the book. This is just how do I map this out every year. Thanks, everybody. I hope that was helpful. Have a great day and safe training. Bye for now.